Families turfed out of their homes, an all too familiar sight, and sent in to do the job, the notorious eviction squad. They call them the Red Ants. It's not just illegally occupied buildings from where people are being chased away, but places like this, between the cities and countryside. For some, the much trumpeted South African dream feels like a hellish nightmare. With elections next year, the political heat is being turned up on the land issue, fuelled by stalled promises of equity. The left is now driving forward a radical agenda with demands to confiscate land without compensation.
Really welcome this opportunity. Thank you.
It's forced the pro-business president, Cyril Ramaphosa, out of his comfort zone, reassuring foreign friends it's business as usual after making this unexpected announcement on national TV.
It has become patently clear that our people want the Constitution to be more explicit about expropriation of land without compensation, as demonstrated in the public hearings. The intention of this proposed amendment is to promote redress, advance economic development, increase agricultural production and food security. It will also transform the unjust spatial realities in urban areas.
The political pressure is coming from the man in the middle, Julius Malema, self-styled revolutionary and leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF.
That brought the land back to the people, back to the rightful owners.
He's used the issue of land to whip up anti-white sentiment and promises to distribute land through a program of nationalisation. Business, he says, will have to adapt.
We want the state to own the land. It is a democratic state in South Africa, elected by our people over a period of 5 years. And if people are not happy with the current state, they can choose a different state to be the custodian of the land. Well, we know that there will be a backlash, but multinational foreign investors want policy certainty. At first, there will be some shock, but once there's a clear definition of what we mean by that, they will begin to appreciate that this is not chaos. This is actually a reinforcement of economic development.
Yeah, he will own this land so that he can even plow, because we are from poor background family.
In his home province of Limpopo, Mr. Malema's supporters are already helping themselves, occupying private land for shacks and farming.
We take a land and then we grow some food, we sell them. We are trying to generate income, jobs for ourselves.
Since a new South Africa was born more than 20 years ago, reallocating land to the black majority has been a cornerstone of government policy. But it's been a slow process. Eddie Prinsloo sold his farm to the state, but said he's had to fight hard to ensure it was his experienced black farm workers who acquired it and not political cronies. Attitudes, he says, must change.
I did it because I thought it's the right time, and every white farmer in this country have to make the mind shift.
But what's happened on this farm is the exception, not the rule.
There's eintlik my droom dat ek my eie grond het, dat ek boer. Maar bas Eddie, het alles daar goed voor ons gedoen, dat ons voor ons help tot hier wat nu is.
Although stark inequalities over land ownership remain a shameful legacy of apartheid, the slow pace of reform leaves a fragmented ANC vulnerable as it tries to recover lost ground after a poor showing in the last elections. That's why land has resurfaced as an issue now.
The ANC suffered a huge defeat in the big cities in a local government election in 2016. And these were ANC strongholds like Port Elizabeth, Johannesburg, Pretoria. So they are looking for something which they think will bring back the voters, the black voters, who are the people who vote for the ANC.
So what are the facts? Around 2/3 of land in South Africa is still white-owned. The remainder is largely held by the state. With the dawn of a new democracy, the plan was to transfer 1/3 to the black majority within 5 years. But 24 years later, with corruption and bureaucracy blamed, less than 10% has been handed over.
I actually think that one of the big issues that we need to discuss in South Africa is not merely how to get the land and whether or not to pay rent, to pay compensation for it, but also the question of who should be getting the land and whether or not they should be getting title deeds or secure long-term leases for it.
A series of test cases are now planned. Top of the list is Johan Steenkamp, who bought his 2 farms after the end of apartheid.
If it was done in a way that you felt was controlled and egalitarian, would you be prepared to give up some of your land?
Every farmer in South Africa is prepared to share to some extent. But you must also remember there's an economic reality and there is so much farmland available in the hands of the state. Let's first get there and develop that and in partnership with the farmers.
What's clear, there's not just one simple land issue, it's got multiple layers.
There are some stark examples of where land reallocation has stalled. This was once a privately owned tea plantation. 7 years ago, it was sold to the South African state to be redistributed to the local community. Well, that never happened. And back there's tens of thousands of pounds worth of farming equipment lying out rusting in the sun. And some 5,000 people have lost their jobs.
Whisky Kigabo believes in more equity, but he's also wary of excessive state control. He's paid the price for speaking out and is now counting the cost of intruders destroying his crop. He was allocated this farm back in 2013, but it's leased from the state. He wants title deeds, because without them, he can't access capital to grow.
If we can expand this place and make it double size of this one, because it's having the space to make it double, then we can able to make sure that we keep at least not less than 180 people permanent and 304 harvesting times.
With plans to accelerate the pace of land reform, security is being tightened. Although the government insists Zimbabwe-style land grabs are not on the cards, there are fears that opportunists could take advantage if property rights are not evened out soon.
We've been called to this empty farm building on private land. Squatters have pretty much stripped it of anything of any value. Copper wire, electrical cables, you name it. There is a sense that as the land debate becomes more prominent, people are becoming emboldened.
In the days ahead, the sensitive issue of land will be kicked back to Parliament. Although public opinion suggests more needs to be done, managing expectations while cutting political deals could be the leadership's biggest challenge.